YouTube, how's it going? Nate Great 321 back again with another pickups video. This one is my biggest pickups video yet. So I'm not going to have enough time to really dive into each album individually. I'm just going to try to whip through them and maybe talk about one or two here and there. So without further ado, let's just get to it. And we'll start things off with a Motown classic, What's Going On by Marvin Gaye on the brown and yellow Tamla label. I've been looking for this for a long time and finally found it for a good price. Next one up, Sade, Diamond Life. The jacket's beat up and the record's a little beat up too, but it is a gold stamp promo and it was only a couple bucks, so I figured why not. One that was sort of a blind buy at the time, but I really ended up enjoying this album a lot, was Los Lobos, How Will the Wolf Survive? Just a very diverse album, a lot of different genres on this one, really cool. Sort of one of those 80s staples albums that it seems like everyone has, but finally got my copy of Paul Simon, Graceland. Another one to add to the Peter Gabriel collection. This is his third album, people call it Melt. This one's pretty good, and this one was in decent shape. One from everybody's favorite thrift store artist, Herb Alpert and Tijuana Brass. This is Going Places. Yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but it's pretty fun music just to put on every once in a while. And this has the song Spanish Flea on it, which actually is a really catchy, fun song. Second album by the English Beat, or just the Beat, depending where you are, is Wappin', sort of two-tone ska, and I've really been trying to get into this genre, and this album's really, really cool. There's some really catchy early 80s pop, Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Wanna Have Fun. I've been looking for this for a while and finally found it for like $5, so that was a good price. And going along with that, I found Madonna's first album. A lot of classic hits on this one. Lucky Star, Borderline, just awesome album to have. Talking Heads debut album, Talking Heads 77, in really good shape. Big fan of Talking Heads and anything David Byrne, so glad to find this one. One for the Steely Dan collection, The Royal Scam. Just what you expect from Steely Dan, kind of slick production and a good sort of jazz fusion rock. Second album from the band Let's Active. I think I showed their first album in one of my other pickups videos. I think I like that one a little better. This one's a little more polished, but still pretty good. An absolute rock classic, Led Zeppelin Houses of the Holy. This is a record club edition, but significantly cheaper than what you typically see Led Zeppelin stuff go for, and really stoked to add this one. A ton of classic songs on here. One that I didn't expect was as expensive or sought after as it ended up being when I researched it after I bought it. That's New Order, Substance 1987, double LP, kind of a best of New Order. Really like New Order and Joy Division, so didn't hesitate to pick this up, and I'm glad I did. Another one for the early Genesis collection. This is Nursery Crime. I have pretty much everything of theirs up to Invisible Touch, so this just helped kind of fill out the early Gabriel stuff. Have the Police's debut album, Outlands d'Amour. So I'm a big fan of 80s music, but I also like 80s pop culture in general, so when I saw this for a couple bucks sealed, I figured why the heck not. This is the second edition of music from the TV show Miami Vice. It has Crockett's theme on here, which is an awesome sort of instrumental track. I have the first edition of this as well, and I also found that one sealed, so good cheap find. And in a similar vein to that last one, I found a 12-inch single of the Miami Vice theme. I like 12-inch singles, especially when they come with these cool picture sleeves. This is actually a German release. I don't think this was released, this version at least, stateside. I think they had a different cover, but they didn't have the sort of cover from the TV show, so I figured what the heck not. It was only $1 or $2, I think, so it's a pretty cool pickup. Another German release I got at the same time as the Miami Vice one is Huey Lewis in the News. This is their second album, Picture This. I like Huey Lewis, so I figured I didn't have this one. I hardly ever see it, so I figured why not. I mentioned I bought the Talking Heads debut album early in this video. I also bought the Tom Tom Club, which is kind of an offshoot of the Talking Heads. Two of the four members of that band made this band, and they had a bit of a one-hit wonder with Genius of Love. I'm sure you all have heard that song before. Just cool, kind of catchy, good 80s music in similar vein to that one song, Genius of Love. This was an upgrade copy. I already had a copy of Led Zeppelin 4, but I am getting a better copy for a decent price. In this day and age, you can't really pass up Led Zeppelin at a decent price because these things are normally going for crazy amounts. Got a pair of albums from the B-52s, got their debut album, which I've been looking for forever, and I also scored a Wild Planet. It's their second album. I probably like the first one a little better, but both of them really great stuff, and I really don't like B-52s once you get to like Love Shack and like the later 80s stuff. But this early stuff is really killer, so definitely seek that out. A sort of beat up copy of Janet Jackson Control. Vinyl's a little noisy and the jacket's not great, but sort of catchy late 80s sort of pop music. I think everyone's pretty familiar with this album. 2 albums from a band I wasn't that familiar with, but I'm glad I took a chance because I really enjoyed both of these, and that's Gang of Four. That's just their debut album, Entertainment, and their follow-up, Solid Gold. I probably like this one a little bit more, but both of them really fantastic, kind of punk, post-punk sort of music on here, so right up my alley really. An early album from U2, this is October. Prior to this I only had Joshua Tree, so I'm trying to expand my kind of U2 collection, and this was relatively cheap, so I picked it up and really enjoyed it. An 80s release from Herbie Hancock, this is Future Shock, has the song Rocket on here. Pretty easy album to find for cheap, and it just was one I didn't have in my collection, so found it for cheap, so I figured why not. The rest of the records I'm going to show in this video are all jazz albums. So Duke Ellington, Indigos. This is on the Columbia 6th Eye, but it's the Columbia CBS, the later version of that 6th Eye label. You know, I've tried to get into Duke Ellington a time or two here and there, but just really kind of not my cup of tea when it comes to jazz. I know he's one of the most iconic jazz musicians of all time, but it's just maybe a little early for what I like, so I'm not sure if I'll keep this, but okay pickup. Bill Evans Trio 64, this is on Verve. Just good, straight up kind of jazz trio music. Bill Evans, a piano player. I really like piano jazz, and it sounds really good on vinyl. Another trio album, this time the Oscar Peterson Trio, this album called Night Train, also on Verve. Pretty cool album, another kind of standard jazz trio album. There's one song on here, I think it's the very last song actually. It was a jazz, it's called Hymn to Freedom, but it's basically a jazz version of God Bless America, and it is an awesome track, but overall pretty cool album. Another Columbia release, this is Herbie Mann, Latin Man, sort of a variety of Latin theme songs, I guess, at Columbia, one of those 2-eye Columbias. Afro to bossa to blues, just cool, kind of jazz music, really dig this one. The last one is Sonny Meets Hawk. This is Sonny Rollins and Coleman Hawkins, 2 saxophone jazz musicians on RCA. This is on the Dyna Groove, which I know is hotly debated, but it sounds pretty good to me, honestly. Pretty cool album. The only thing I don't really like about it is it's very panned left and right. One of them plays and it's on the far left, and the other one plays and it's on the far right. So it's sort of one of those early stereo ones that wasn't really fully utilized, but other than that, the music on it's really cool. And those are all my pickups in this video. That was the longest one yet. Thank you for staying here with me, and I'll be back for more soon. So for now, this is Nate Great 321, signing out.